Hello and welcome to my channel, and this is about the story, you may have heard about it, about a 5-year-old child who is having to carry the surname of their father even though he's a convicted rapist. He's presently waiting a criminal trial and is under police investigation also. And the High Court Judge Peel decided that it was a good idea to keep connection with the father, and because of the child's heritage, to keep connection with the father even though he raped the mother, and so he's allowed for the child to keep the father's surname. It's obviously absolutely disgusting, it's perverse, and these people in the family court, I don't know why this has come out so much, because these sort of things happen all the time. The family court needs a complete overhaul, and I'm really glad the papers have picked it up, because it proves to the general public who think we have a good judicial system, which was me prior to going through the court system because of my ex. We do not have a good judicial system, and these sort of things need exposing. And this poor child and the mother have got to carry this name, so when she goes to the doctors, when she goes anywhere, she's got to write this name down, and it's absolutely outrageous that these judges are allowing this. Now, I've looked into this quite a lot, and I've also looked at Facebook posts or Twitter posts, and there's not one member of the public that agree with this. Everybody is saying how disgusting it is, from, you know, just words like it's absolutely disgusting to he needs his hard drive checking. I mean, the comments, they're just all for the mother and the child not to have this surname. So the judges, not only have they got it totally wrong, but, you know, they're not with the will of the public. So this is the story of what happened. So this is Laura Moyes, and she's a part-time recorder. And then it's gone to the High Court, and it was Mr Justice Peel that turned round and has completely agreed with this. But it went to the High Court because a challenge to the surname decision was refused by the appeal court, as it found no real prospect of success. So this is obviously clearly the mentality, isn't it, in the family court? This isn't a one-off, because the appeal court turned around and says, oh, you no chance of that, because, you know, they're just going to allow this rapist to have his name, for the child to still keep his name. So this isn't, you know, like a precedent or anything like that. I don't know why the newspapers have picked up on it so much, because it's clearly happening, because the appeal court wouldn't even allow appeal to go ahead. So this is Peel, and I'm sorry, but I don't usually, you know, comment on people's appearance, but he looks so wishy-washy, doesn't he? He doesn't look like a man that's in control. And here he is. I mean, he's dressed up like a Christmas tree. I mean, it's just absolutely bizarre. It looks, in my opinion, it just looks a bit of a drip. And these are the people that are making decisions on our children's lives. And this father was found to have committed 4 very serious incidents of sexual abuse against the mother. He's currently awaiting a criminal trial and a police investigation. And both Judge Moyes and him, he criticised the father's lack of understanding around the allegations. And he said it comes as the father had continuously referred to them as allegations of sexual harassment, a bit different, sexual harassment to rape, obviously, and repeatedly used the phrase marital rape. Well, anybody who uses the phrase marital rape clearly thinks rape is acceptable if you're married. So they both, according to the papers, they both asked him to stop saying it. Now, he couldn't even stop in court saying about marital rape, even though he'd apparently been asked by a judge, a recorder, and a High Court judge. Yet they still go on to let this moron, you know, have his name associated to this poor child. And I find these part-time recorders that are still barristers very hard to accept, because it's like this Tanya Griffiths. She specialises in defending allegations of serious sexual assault. And you've only got to Google that. I'm not saying anything that isn't on the public domain. And there's actually media coverage of victims saying, one of them saying they wanted to kill themselves because she called them a liar in court. So if you're defending people and calling those children a liar in court, how can you then, in my opinion, how could you then have a child coming into court and not say they're a liar if they say they've been sexually abused? So a judge should be finished
from being a barrister, and that's it. So they can have a level playing field and they can't be biased. Because if you're always defending, or the majority of time, that's what it says on her bio, if you're always defending abusers, you are therefore on the abuser side, that this sexual assault and child sexual abuse doesn't happen as much as it that's been said, and that victims can be liars. I just don't think the two can go together, in my personal opinion. So this Peel said it was a good idea to keep the surname because it kept the connection to the father and the child's heritage and identity. Well, who in the right mind would want the surname of a rapist? I mean, these judges, some of them are just on another planet. And it says that on appeal, the mother argued Judge Moyes had failed to sufficiently consider the impact of the continued use of the father's surname. So obviously things like at school, they're clearly obviously going to get bullied. But Peel turned round and said, oh no, that was clearly recorded, the seriousness of abuse, before reaching a conclusion. So that's basically saying, oh yeah, well, the judge had recorded it. Not that it was right or wrong, just the fact that they'd written it down. So therefore, the appeal doesn't go ahead. He didn't turn around and say, oh yeah, it had been recorded down, they had thought about it, but they've got it wrong. Because obviously no child, and the mother's got to bring that child up. I mean, you imagine as well, the mother's got to go to the doctor, she's got to go to the school, she's got to go on holiday, and all the time writing down the man's name that raped her. And these two, as far as I'm concerned, idiot judges, they don't think of that. They sit there pompous as anything with no actual idea of what these victims go through. So I know this happens in family court. It's not just a president. I don't know why like I say, I don't know why the papers have picked up so much on it, but I'm glad they have, because it opens up to people who haven't been in family court just how corrupt it is. And I was told before I went how corrupt it was, and to be honest, I didn't believe it until I went through the system. But I'm still going to say about this because it's parental responsibility, and I'm not going to go too far in it because all mine's going to be in my book later on. But parental responsibility, one part of the law is you have to prove commitment to the child. So you can't just say you never saw the child. You can't just turn up at the court and get parental responsibility, supposedly. In this case, he hadn't seen the child and he was very wealthy. So the two arguments were that he didn't see the child, he had no commitment towards the child whatsoever, and he never paid anything financially towards the child, which you would do, obviously, if you committed towards the child. Anyway, in the courtroom they start speaking. This is a magistrates as well, which it should never happen in, because magistrates are not qualified. They are not trained people. They shouldn't be doing things as seriousness as a child. It's one thing that should never happen, but it does. So I turns around and says, where is he? He hadn't even, I says, oh, he's gone away abroad to France to buy a horse. So I just laughed and said, and you and I would think, well, that's it. No commitment towards the child, never seen the child, can't even turn up to the court date. Oh, no, it carried on. So I explained that they're wealthy enough to go and buy a horse, they're wealthy enough to have a solicitor sat there, but they don't pay any money towards the child. Well, that didn't matter either. They just completely overrode it completely, because you cannot do anything if they don't follow the law. People think, oh, well, they could get a complaint system in. Unless they said something racist or something really bad, really bullying or derogatory, there are you Google it, there are very few things you can complain about a judge to. So basically, they're not accountable to anybody. You then get the appeal court. And like this case, it says another judge deciding about their mates, whether it goes to appeal or not. So the appeal court goes, oh no, you don't have, they just turn around and say, oh, well, you don't have a chance of success. So you can't automatically do it. If the appeal court doesn't think you have a chance of success, that is it, you're not going to appeal. So then you're having to go to High Court. And looking back on this, I can't remember it exactly, but I think it was about £15,000 in costs, and she got about 5,000 back. So you're looking at 50. You've got to be wealthy if you're going to take this any further. But I'll go into that more in depth, because that was just about, it doesn't, connect to this story. So thank you for watching, and bye.